Well, good morning. I had a great night's sleep. Lee has just left and he's boarding his plane now. And we didn't do any lives because so much of our content, like Lee's come over to sort of film and try and get down to the nitty gritty, the bottom of the Reach It experience, you know. So we kind of, you know, put it all on film. We've filmed a lot. And we also had a pretty good time together because this place is magnificent. Right, have a look at this. It's a blue skies today. Actually, most of the time Lee was here, the skies were cloudy. But in the meantime, some of you would have seen that we've done a prototype solar brush, which Chris Virgin's going to be trying out. We're excited about that. We're putting a blade in the brush. Jimmy Jones has written to me with some ideas on how to modify that a different way. So it looks like we'll make a set of prototypes for different ideas that different people are running about what would be the perfect blade brush. And I'm pretty excited about that. I think step by step as we look at different windows, like Nick Evans in New Zealand. I think it's Nick in New Zealand. Like he's been making little brushes for French panes, you know, cut-ups, and he's been testing that. Man, this place is nice. That water is so warm, like super warm. So I will have a swim later on this afternoon. Yep, when the tide comes in. So I think that's the thing. Like we've got poles down pat. We've got constructor brush, which we call Reach It brush now. Because we're moving out of the constructor phase for it. So we're just sort of heading ourselves in that direction where we think that we've got final designs sorted, and there'll still be an avenue for the guys who are like super clever to be able to buy DIY, but it'll be on request in the future. And of course we're going to support, there's about 8,000 constructor brushes in the market, so we're going to support those with the spare parts and you know, whatever upgrades are manageable to be able to fit into those brushes. But moving forward, I think we've actually, you know, cracked a lot of the designs. I've just been watching a 1997 Steve Jobs interview, and he was just talking about how he went through this process, part of me, which I've already sort of started and talked to my team about, is that he was talking about how they had a lot of products and they developed a lot of products. He said, you know, 30% were amazing, 70% were great, and he wanted to knock out some of the 70% and focus all his energy on, you know, making the ones that were amazing, you know, even more amazing. And I think that's really the focus that we've got now, is, you know, dealing with the 1%, 2%, and 3% of guys that can damage the products, and then seeing how we can, you know, because what we're dealing with is, you know, plastics or 3D printing. You know, we're dealing with things that are brittle. Guys, you know, if they drop them, there's a risk that they're gonna break. So we're putting rubber bumpers and things like that, you know, into the places where we think the impacts are hitting, protecting them a little bit, you know, looking for that protection, that anti-impact stuff. So we're gonna just you know, zone in on those products, and just, you know, just keep listening to the guys who have a problem. I mean, it's funny to, you know, see Facebook, you know, we've got 8,000 brushes out there. You only see the brushes pretty much that get damaged. So there's that narrative that runs that somehow they get damaged a lot, but they don't. Like, there's just not anywhere near statistically, you know, anything different from any other company. But we are determined to focus on each one of those. So any of you have had that, you'll know you've had personal communication with me. What happened? What really happened? Because the worker may have told a story that's not what really happened. So we want to know as much as possible what really happened. Did it drop? Did it hit a frame? What kind of frame? What impact? What pole were they using? Were they using a flexible pole or a rigid pole? Because flexible poles whip like this, and the guys can't control the brushes, so they tend to, in order to get an action from side to side, they tend to use the frame as a stopper, right? So they go bang, 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 bang with a fiberglass pole. And constructor brush was just never, you know, we didn't imagine. We should have, I suppose, foreseen, you know, guys putting it on poles that they bought from other guys that just shouldn't be used in professional window cleaning. You know, and I'm a bit of a stickler for that. Like, it should be a rigid pole. Your water-fed pole is a drive shaft and an axle, right? It's a drive shaft between your biceps, your elbows, your wrists, your body strength, your legs if you're working at extreme height, and it's your drive shaft. So if you're gonna have a drive shaft, you want it as rigid as possible, right? You don't have floppy drive shafts. And then because we're using the swivel brush at the top, then it's also an axle between your wrist and your carpal tunnel, right? So it's an axle. So again, you don't have floppy axles, you don't have bent axles, right? You want a straight axle, and then you get perfect transfer of power. So the effort that you're putting in gets transferred to the brush, right? Anyway, I mean, that's me. That's where I'm, really focused on that. And then we want to, acknowledge and honor the guys who have had, a negative experience for whatever reason, by technique or by our fault, and then, sort of zero in on those, the little things that we can do to perfect that. So, so all process and procedure, focus, and stuff like that. But I should be showing you that view, right? That's the view you want to see. So we're interested now, like, to start looking at those specialist brushes. If there's a particular idea that you've got on the brush side of things, if there's an extension, you'll see that we've got the little Acme adapters that we're making now. So we've ordered those at different angles so that you can put other brushes on, and then we're going to focus on gutter brushes, roof cleaning brushes, because it's the brush that cleans the surface. And I think, Lee and I just talked, at length about squeegee rubber, because, we're developing Reach It rubber, which is going to be completely unique and not a copy of anything which is out there. So we're prototyping that at the moment, and it's funny, the rubber has not been changed for 80 years. The only change that I can see is the difference between an Unger rubber or an Unger style rubber, which Black Diamond is a copy of the Unger rubber, and then and the Yettere rubber, and then the TPRs, the colored ones, the blues, the reds, the greens, the yellows, but all of them are exactly the same in the profile, right? So that's 80 years of rubber. So anyway, Lee's got an interview with me on that, so I'm not going to spoil any of that. That's all going to be scoop from him. And he's had a play with the prototype that I've developed, and that's going to be. He was pretty impressed. Like, we're still going to put it to the test a lot more than 10 minutes on the glass, but we think we're on point. So yeah, man, that is so nice. It is about, I don't know, it gets up around 30 degrees, which I think is like 90 Fahrenheit around here. During the day, the rain comes in at night sometimes, so you get a bit of rain. I'm going to take the next few days out to also work on Reach It Local. Reach It Local is going to be basically a community based with local guys giving local advice. So we're developing a community app for that, and it'll be a troll-free zone. It'll be credible people only. It'll be people that want to help and want to be helped only. It's not a Reach It zone. It's going to be a window cleaning zone. So there'll be complete freedom to talk about other products and all the window cleaning service, supply, product, innovation, DIY. So and we don't think we'll attract the entire market, but the market that we do attract to this are going to be the guys, in particular the guys who just don't like negativity. So I've just seen so many guys write to me privately and say, I don't do Facebook anymore, and I think, okay, so that those good guys who did want to help and were helping and all that, just go, enough of the BS. I don't want to be with my family in the evenings on Facebook and then getting frustrated and upset and carrying that into my home. So so we're gonna put our 2 cents into that community part of the industry and see if we can create something that's kind of more beautiful, more functional, more useful for window cleaners. And so that's going to be exciting. So I'm focusing on that. We've also got some other exciting opportunities. Harrison's doing an amazing job back in Ningbo with the new factory, so I'm pretty excited about that. The flooring is down. I think the electricity is being put in next Monday, and then the lights will be fitted Tuesday, something like that. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. And then we have the Chinese national holiday. So over that period of time, we're actually going to be moving the factory and the offices so that and also cutting off the power where we are. So while everybody's away, and we're kind of lucky, we've got a bit of a break there. Those of you who are thinking about ordering, we'll actually be shipping some stock to Jason Hatch in Des Moines. That's our warehouse. And Jason's doing an amazing job. Our delivery dispatch times are really much better. Those of you who have ordered window weapon, any of the deep frames, you'll notice that I've put a hold on dispatches. So if anything's urgent, give me a call, but we've actually got a modification to that. Just a little tweak again, basically, you know, more impact proof. So we just sort of got that, I think, coming through Monday, Tuesday next week. We should be ready to start shipping again. But yeah, anyway, there's lots. You can imagine, like, so many things, because we want to keep innovating new products. We want to keep perfecting our processes and services, keep perfecting our customer service, keep perfecting our storytelling, how we tell the story about our products. Because the whole thing about Reach It is that, you know, we don't copy anybody's product. Even the trad pole, like I've been talking to Byron Guest, the Mod Man. If you don't know him, follow him on Facebook and YouTube. Mod Man. He used to be called Wagman, so you might Google Wagman or what Mod Man. And we're talking with him about the tip on the trad pole, and I've agreed with him that if the younger tip is so universal, or it can be made universal, so we're going to make an adapter for the younger tip that'll go into the trad pole. So if you don't like our tip, or you prefer it doesn't matter whether you like or don't like, but whichever one you prefer, which I think is going to be the younger tip, then we'll make an adapter so you'll be able to, you know, make the younger tip fit the trad pole. And he'll also show you where to drill a hole in a Mormon handle, where to drill a hole if you need to in a wagtail handle so that it fits into the younger tip. So he's got all that, you know, all the numbers and maths and measurements and all that being done. So, you know, I'm pretty excited about that too. As I said to him, like, you know, if somebody's done something right, let's support that. Like, you know, if Unga's done the tip right, let's tell people to buy the Unga tip. Like, it doesn't need to be. My little analogy is I buy a lot of Abercrombie and Fitch clothes, you know, but if I wear an Abercrombie and Fitch hat, Abercrombie and Fitch shirt, Abercrombie and Fitch sunglasses, Abercrombie and Fitch trousers or pants or jeans or whatever, you know what I mean? If I just wear the one brand, I kind of look a bit of a dick, right? So the same could be said about window cleaning equipment. And this is one of our realizations also, like what we're trying to do with Reach It brush is try and understand the number of guys who are buying Reach It brush now is like boom, 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 up. Like, so, you know, everybody knows that we're kind of at that end of the road where it's really, really a stable product. And but they're putting it on other people's poles and stuff like that. And so, you know, we have to think more about, oh, if you're fitting this to another person's pole and you don't want to be carrying the tube on the brush, you want to carry the tube to the pole, or you've got internal tubing and you want to attach that. So we've got to kind of start looking and talking with you guys about how you're doing that, because when you fit it to a Reach It pole, it works perfectly, and we've got the little loop and the push fit sitting there on the top #1 clamp, and, you know, so I mean, I'm always interested, like, if you give me the narrative of what you want, how you're doing things, what doesn't work, as much as people feel that it's negative, I mean, that's how we learn, because you gotta remember, I'm not on the glass, right? You guys are on the glass. Yeah. So that's it. Lee and I had an amazing time. We're old friends, you know, like we realized that we started our businesses, like when he's been a window cleaner for 20 years, he started with 40 quid, you know, and doesn't come from money. Like, there's so many things in similarity. Tough childhood, you know, had to make his way through life on his own, you know, kind of thing, and lots of very similar to my life path. And we talked about that, you know, we talked deep a lot, and had we just know each other really well, and we thought we knew each other really well before, but we confirmed we know each other really well now. And yeah, and so he started Window Cleaning Magazine, which is www.windowcleaningmagazine.co.uk, but it's a global window cleaning magazine, so make sure you register there and go and watch what's going on, and how he tells his stories. You know, he's really, really quite passionate about the industry. And so we started around the same time, and he and I did a tour of the UK together. Maybe Reach It was 18 months old or something. We only had 3 employees at the time, and I was off, you know, gallivanting around UK promoting Reach It with Lee, filming and driving. So, you know, he's going to bring some of that footage back as well. It's going to be kind of fun. see how poorly we've aged, but how much wiser we've become, and how much more knowledge we have now than what we had then. Because, you know, if you think about it, like 10 years ago, I was a window cleaner, you know. So I think we've, you know, had a great journey. Amazing. We talked about our kids and our aspirations for our kids, aspiration for our company, legacy, principles, you know, like all the stuff that, you know, all man-to-man stuff, you know. So that's it. I'm going to stay here another couple of days. There's a few more things that we're working on. We've got a lot on the go, but we just keep thinking, like, you know, pedal hard, perfect, you know, realize that some of the things that worked yesterday won't work tomorrow, like with volume and, you know, anyway, so I'm going to run some little narratives or sort of soliloquies on all that, like what we've learned. But I think I'm going to do it with Harrison and get Martin filming it and just sort of talk about the story, because I think, you know, from us just working father and son, Harry assembling the poles, me making the websites and the phone calls, transitioning across to Harrison becoming creative director, building the websites, you know, me still always in sales, and then, you know, starting to employ people, and then getting up to a certain stage where you know, where all of that, the wearing of many hats, I think you could say it. Like, there's a phase of your business where you're wearing many hats, and then you have to start putting those hats on other people, and then there's actually a little crack point where you have to have basically nobody wearing many hats. You have to have many people wearing a hat. So that's when you have like true departments and department heads, and then you have to put teams under the department heads. And as I said to Lee, I said, I've just got amazing awe and respect for, you know, the companies that we aspire to be a fraction of, whether it be Unger, Ettore from our industry, Bosch, Still, Stanley, Dyson, you know, from the tool area and the domestic, you know, appliances areas. I mean, those guys all started in a garage like everybody else, like, and they all had to go through these stages, you know, whether they got investor funding or not, like, you know, they still had to go through step by step, you know, putting in the people, building the team, getting the systems right, finding out what goes wrong, you know, which they didn't anticipate, then moving forward. You know, it's fascinating, right? And it's incredibly complex, even though you know exactly what, you know, what it should look like in your mind. If you haven't done it before, or, you know, none of us have got like master's degrees in business and stuff like that, or, you know, so that's where we have to hire the people who've already got the experience. And, you know, obviously the people with the better experience cost more money, so then you've got to have your sales that match your investment, but you've got to invest first before you can sell. Look at this little fella. You, sir, whoop, you should be there. Yes. Go. Stay away from the beach. Yeah, that's my good deed for the day. Probably going to do a couple more. Yeah, so anyway, it's fascinating, it's interesting. Who's there? Jason Hatch. Yes. Oh, the other thing is, like, yeah, from the Jamie side of things, I'm so proud of you guys. I mean, you guys have, you know, really just dug deep to create your org from Freshwater Motivation. And but that's where our reach it local strategy, like, you know, we really want our local guys representing our company in those local areas and at those local events. The thing for us, because we're overseas, you know, we have, you know, massive costs, which is so different from having a local guy there, and we've got some displays and stuff like that. So, you know, and we'll start standardizing all of that. So we've got a great team of advocates. We have a lot of people that are really passionate about being a reach it user. The amount of, you know, there's money in glass if you clean it fast. There's nothing special about being able to clean glass, if I can say that without you know, sounding rude, in the sense that people have been cleaning glass for 100 years, and there are definitely new glasses and new skills and all of that. But the basic principle is is not whether we can clean glass, but it's how fast we can clean glass. So that's where, you know, and how safely we can clean glass, how ergonomically we can clean glass. That's where your tools as a manufacturer, like when people compare me to other people's products, I go, of course their product works. Like you can get a broom and a hose, and you can make it work. Like let's say the water's spot free, or you just add a little DI filter or whatever. The question is not, can I buy a system from anybody and it will clean windows? Yes, of course you will, right? That's why all these different brands exist. The decision point is to understand the most expensive part of window cleaning is labor, right? And what has developed everything since the beginning of time, right, is that the tools become faster. You know, faster, better, safer, faster, better, cheaper, faster, better, whatever. But always you'll hear the word faster. Product development is about giving you tools that clean windows faster. And I think that's what Reach It brings to the table. I mean, I'm certain of it. I'm completely certain of it. What's going on here? Who is under there? Oh, maybe I lost him. Oh, there he is. No. There he is. No. He's better than me. Let's see if we can find another one. This guy. Oh. Maybe I got beaten by the sea again. There's usually somebody in there. Well, not usually. There's always somebody in there. I've kind of been beaten, right? Now I'm on a mission. Look how pure and clean this water is, eh? It's just amazing. Well, that's life on a beach. Can't see anybody. Yeah, you don't want to look at me anyway. I'll give you the view of the beach. There's a bit of rubbish around, but they do go around picking all that up. But that's definitely a problem with us, right? With plastic, isn't it? So, yeah, like my little point I was pointing out then was, you know, the key, if you want to think about buying a waterfed pole or whatever, is to focus on the brush, because the brush is what cleans the glass. The pole juxtaposed against the ladder. The pole replaces the ladder. So you don't want a floppy ladder and you don't want a floppy pole. And everything should be about the focus about how much faster can your tools work. Like if you're talking to me versus somebody else who's a manufacturer, right? Is how much faster is Reach It than another brand. Because that's where you're going to get your benefit. Not that you can reach a piece of glass, but you can reach it and clean it faster. So you get a higher hourly rate. If you can clean it safer, you're going to have less load on your body. And it's going to be, you're going to be better off. And like we talked about the quality of the poles. If you hear that sound, then you know that pole's going to wear down faster than one that doesn't have that sound. So again, like getting rid of, you know, the corrugations in the pole surface. We talked about that at length with Lee. You know, so your pole investment lasts a long time. We've got guys who bought poles off us in 2012, changed the clamps every 2 years for $70 to $100, depending if they added tube runner or not. And oh, here's another one. Okay, this guy is in here somewhere. Crikey, mate, where are you? Maybe he was deeper. Just trying to work out whether it's a crab or a shellfish. They are elusive, I tell you. Elusive. There. That's drier. I got a chance to find somebody. Well, you know, welcome to the adventures on the beach. Fail every time. I never do that. Okay, who's there? Alfredo. Tomorrow I'll be working with Mario and the Flow, and Lucas bought the Tucker cart. Yeah, you can make a comparison. Definitely. But it depends. Again, it also, there's more, anyway, there's a lot of variations in pure water, but for me, the pure water is, where am I? There. For me, the pure water is just the necessary evil. It's not an evil, but basically all you want is spot-free water. There's no increased efficiency from pure water, except that you have to finish with pure water, right? But you're not going to clean windows faster because of one cart versus another cart, right? So you can get a DI tank or rent a DI tank from Culligan's. You're going to get exactly the same result from a $75 rental from Culligan's as you will from a $10,000 skid mount, right? So there's no increased efficiency. So that's not where you should be focusing, like in my opinion. I would much rather you were comparing a reach it brush to another brush. How much faster can you clean glass, right? Because that's what it is. Every RODI produces pure water. It produces the same quality of pure water. Do you know why? Because it's got DI resin. Do you know what? We don't make the DI resin. Other brands don't make their DI resin. They all buy from, mostly from China. We buy from Resin Tech, who actually buy from China, but they charge it in America. So we buy an American-made, resin for the quality control purposes. And then we'll have Chinese-based sourced resin as well available at a lower price. And yeah, I'm down. I cannot find, these guys must be deep. Yeah, so, but every system delivers the same quality of water, and all you need is spot-free water. So then it can come down to volumes. Volumes depend on pressures. So it's how many liters per minute. You make sure that you're comparing with identical hoses and tubes, right? Because it's the hose and the tube which are the thieves of your pressure. So if you have one set of hoses on one and another set of hoses on another, you're going to get a different result from the pure water systems at the brush based on the hose and tube will be the one doing that'll be making the difference, So whoever has the shorter hose will have more water. Whoever has the bigger inner diameter of the hose will have more water. Whoever's got the smaller jets will have the water squirt further on their brushes and stuff like that. So I'm a real simplify the filtering function of pure water and window cleaning is, it's just necessary to, like, because you guys in California and you've got hard water, so you need an RO to pre-filter before you go to the DI, and the DI does the polishing. You could be somewhere like New Zealand and you don't need an RO because the water's almost pure. We had Lee cleaning windows in Ningbo, China, with water fed. We had tap water, like at the TDS of the water is about 35 to 39. I went back over, I squeegeed the bottom of it, looked at the top, and there's no spots at all. You can't see anywhere different from where Lee was water feeding, and I squeegeed it off at the end. And that is, for me, I've seen that so many times that I feel really comfortable saying it, so yeah. But anyway, we could PM each other and say, well, what are the things that you're looking for in a pure water system to be able to compare to them? But what you're really looking to compare is how much faster you can clean glass with reach it. Yeah, that's my opinion. That's what I'm focused on, right? I'm focused on the brushes, right? The poles, we make a great pole, right? But poles are just tubes. There's a lot of complexity and a lot of difference between the poles because there's 8 layers, and what are those layers, and how long is it cooked for, and how rigid is it, and what MSI is the raw material that we put into it, and all that. Lee's got all that, right? We've got a huge podcast on all that. So when Lee puts that material out, like, there's so much where you'll go, my God, like, 2 40-foot poles can never be the same from 2 different manufacturers. There are too many decisions to be made. And that's why we took Lee through the carbon fiber factory, so that he could actually film that and learn that, and then he can teach that through his magazine so people can understand that it's worth knowing more about your pole rather than its length. That's the dumbification of the industry, which e-commerce pushes. E-commerce pushes mine is the same as his, my price is lower. You can get a discount because of my membership, which works and is fine. But, you know, so buy mine because it's the same. But there's no way they're the same. Theirs might be better, theirs might be worse, but they're not the same, yeah? All right, let's have a look here. Who's been talking to me? Yeah. Oh, good, I like Troy. Ha ha ha. Yeah, if you can get, you know, somebody using, and the other thing is the technique change. So you can get two brushes and use them. If you use a reach it brush the same way as you use a tucker brush, for example, you're going to get the same or similar result because you got off glass rinse, right? So the issue is, like, you got to get a guy who's a reach it technique reach it brush user compared to a tucker technique tucker brush user, right? And then look at the corners, look at the edges. How's that rinse going? How's that rinse bar rinsing the corners? How's that rinse bar rinsing down the frames when it doesn't squirt water into the corner, it doesn't squirt water at the frame, right? And then have a look at, you know, especially now with Hydroblade 2 Plus, unbelievable fan of water, putting water exactly where you need it as a window cleaner to make sure that you have an 18-inch single downstroke rinse. No fanning, right? Just straight downstroke, 18-inch, like a, you know, like straight pull, you know, pole work. You know you're using the whole blade. I watch every single video of traditional window cleaners, whether they're using wagtails, Mormons, or traditional tools, and I watch them use an 18-inch squeegee, and then you look how much water they take off the glass when they're fanning, and most of the time they're taking off 9 inches at a time. If they did a straight pull, they'd take off 18 inches. So that's the same, you know, progression. We put the side-to-side on for the swivel, and we had a lock on it at the beginning because we really thought, well, the reason we had the swivel because we were going to fan rinse. And if you look at our early videos, we fan rinse. Now we do straight pull rinse because it's more efficient. Okay, it's really, I love it. I love it. I'm really excited about it. Yeah, Troy is an amazing guy. Yeah, you're going to have a great time talking with Troy. All right, so that's my rave, a little bit of an update, and then I'm back in the factory next Monday. So we'll be able to give you a couple of buzzes from there. And in the meantime, like, I think, you know, Window Weapon is an amazing tool. Window Weapon, all the deep frames are definitely on point. They're definitely delivering, you know, what we wanted to achieve. And then we're looking now for anybody who's having struggles with any other type of window, and then say, okay, how do we develop a brush for that? And then those of you who clean gutters and roofs, you know, that's the next target. See if we can get the perfect brush for, you know, for the metal roofs, matching the profile of the roofs. And you know, we're working with, you know, Chris and Jimmy and Byron and a bunch of other guys who are sort of solid in the solar panel cleaning business, you know, to see if we can crack, you know, the ultimate solar panel cleaning brush for global application. Yeah. Okay. Who's that? Troy Wilcox. Your hair. Oh, okay. So when that arrives, Troy, give me a buzz, and I'll walk you through the reach it technique. If you get it, it's the same as most guys' squeegee technique. Top center across to the corner, down the frame, full width. Slide, turn the brush. Don't take it back up square because you'll wet the frame. Or if you're cleaning the frame, then I mean above the frame. Bring it back up on an angle, and then center across to the corner, and then turn it around, and then straight down the frame. If the window was 30 inches wide and you're using a 16-inch brush, it'll overlap in the middle, and that's it, it's done. You can do that twice or whatever you need to do in order to get it clean. If you have to agitate more than twice, switch to Window Weapon, because you can put a more aggressive agitation on, and then you can reduce the number of strokes that you use. If the brush doesn't overlap in the middle, then you're going to go top center across to the corner, down the frame. That's that done. Top center, across to the corner, down the frame, all the way to the bottom, and then up, down, in the middle until you've taken out all the middle. That's the fastest way to get a brush across glass, and then repeat as many times as possible or necessary, and then there's no final rinse. That's what Lee kind of gave us this. He said, because Lee's been using Constructor Brush for 8 months, he's seen the new brushes and he's seen some new developments of what's coming as well. And he said, you know what it is about Constructor Brush? There is no rinse. It's the rinse is included in the agitation, right? And that's it. Like, there's no going back and rinsing with a Constructor Brush. So you'll want to do it because if you've been using water fed before, you'll want to follow the way you used to use brushes, and you don't need to. If you understand Constructor Brush, you've got blades of bristles, not pods of bristles. The water doesn't go through the brush. There's 100% contact of the bristles on the glass. The bristles break the surface tension of the glass, no matter whether it's hydrophobic or hydrophilic. The water will cascade down, and there is a perfect agitation in an upstroke, and there's a perfect rinse in a downstroke. So there's no more to do. If you're doing regular maintenance cleans, it is a single pass action to clean windows with a constructor brush or a reach it brush. Single pass action. Anything more than that is wasted. And you go and prove that to yourself, you know, nose to glass, so that you can actually see it. Trust the brush, trust the process. Like this is high-tech window cleaning. This constructor brush is an evolved product from a kit set with the feedback of thousands of window cleaners giving us in either praise form, DIY ideas form, encouragement, criticism, slander, but in whatever form it came, we listened to every word, we listened to every situation, we listened to every technique, and we can see there are guys that are more aggressive than other guys, we can see there are guys that are more gentle than other guys, right? And we've sat down and studied and studied and studied and modified the brush over the last 4 years, like incrementally, continually, to get everything at the right angle, everything at the right length, everything at the right velocity, all that kind of stuff, right? And then basically you have a high-tech brush. And it just can't be compared to a broom-style brush that was once a broom, got 2 holes drilled in it, a whole lot of bristles taken out of the middle. If you look at those broom-style brushes with pencil jets, there is no consistency of the bristles through the body of the brush. You just turn it around and look at it. And it's more obvious when you see a combination nylon boar's hair one, because you see this great big hole here and a great big hole there. And you go, where you're agitating, where those holes are, you've got 2 bristles on the top, 2 bristles on the bottom, and 2 inches wide. There's there's only 4 rows of bristles that are agitating, and the rest of the brush has got 7 rows of bristles agitating. I mean, there's so much you just can't compare, no matter how much anybody wants to compare. You can't say that brush has the potential to do a single stroke agitation, because there are so few bristles in or around where the pencil jets would be. And then, you know, you bolt a rinse bar on and it doesn't squirt into the corners, and it doesn't squirt down the frames. When you splay that brush against the glass, you splay it against the glass, the side bristles go out, touch the frame, and it pushes the rinse bar in. So you get 1.5 to 2 inches with no water in it. So you have to take it off the glass and rinse off glass. And once you're rinsing off glass, you've got a rinse action. And if you use a reacher brush and you use a reacher technique, you don't have a rinse action. You're rinsing in a single downstroke. The water will be, especially with Hydroblade 2 Plus, because we've got the water all the way to the edge, all the way to the frame, over the top of the brush, not just in the end caps, all right? Now, if you're angling the brush and you haven't got a whole lot of water pressure, you can rely on the end cap jets. I've left them in there, right? Because the turning the water 60 degrees and pointing it back up, it needs a little bit of water pressure, or it needs some flow rate. If they drop off, you've still got the end cap jets, you know, squirting water into the corners. So anyway, blah, 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 right? But yeah, that is the conversation, my friend, right there. Jason Hatch. Yeah, if you agitate 20 times per window, it should be, the holy grail is 1 time. You go and get window weapon, if you've got 20 times, 1 time could be enough. Now let's say 1 time is unbelievable, so that's why we say 2 times. But we know, like if you'd soft washed a house and you just wanted to make the windows spot free, guaranteed 1 time. Here's the proof. If you do storefronts, right, and you get that mop and you go over it, just a normal regular clean, like hasn't got loads of, you know, nobody's splashed ice cream on the window or anything like that, how many times are you going to run that mop over the glass? Are you going to spend 20 times rubbing the mop over the glass? If you had to do 20 times with a mop, you would have pulled out steel wool, not white non-scratch pad, bronze wool, something else. You would have pulled out a more aggressive, abrasive agitator. And it's the same with water fed. So I always say to guys, like, have a look at the glass and say, if you'd have gone over that 1 time, you know, with your mop, minimal overlaps, maximum coverage of the mop, and then pull the squeegee out and use as much of your squeegee in any action as you can, then 1 time with constructor brush, reach it brush will do the job. Yeah. Now, if you'd have to have gone to your rag bag and you'd have to pull out some steel wool, then what that says is that probably your nylon bristles are not going to scratch whatever it is that's on the glass off, just like your polyester mop is not going to get it off. So you go to window weapon and you introduce a more aggressive agitation surface, yeah? So you're going to grind away at that, yeah? Good night from America. Good day to where you're at. Thank you for what you do. Thank you. Thank you, Charles. Yeah, I am in Thailand. This is Patong Beach, Thailand. It's a crazy place at night and just a gorgeous place to be. Gorgeous place. I'm staying 3 more days so I can just get a bit of focus time over the weekend, not get distracted, and just get some of these other things that I've been working on and only I can do in the company. So Harrison's just said, you stay there and you get that done. He's become a real boss now. All right, so there you are. Bit of a rave. You can hear my passion for what I want for you guys. I want you to clean windows faster, right? Faster, better, safer. That's what the evolution of tools are. You look at your iPhone 3 or 4, whenever you got your first iPhone, and you look at the iPhone 10 or the 11 Max Pro now coming out, and some of the Huawei ones are amazing, and the Samsung ones are amazing, and you go, oh, I wish I had that then, why do these phones keep upgrading every year and there's always something better? It's fine. If you get the efficiency from any reach it brush, you'll get an amazing increase in efficiency if you use the reach it technique. Then with that amazing increase in efficiency, yes, you'll see us bring out better brushes as time goes on, as we learn more and more and more from you now, because you'll be starting to give us feedback as well and saying, can we do this? What about this? How about that? Have you thought of this? Right? That's what drives reach it. It's crowdsourced, right? It's not me. Like, I'm the face of it. That's it. I'm just a what am I? I'm like a little librarian, like I gather all the stuff together and put it in line, try and make it easy to understand, because this e-commerce reselling relies on dumbification. They don't want education. They can't, there's no system for education in e-commerce. So you look at the resellers' posts and you look at the way they do their videos, there's no education in it, right? Why? Because they don't want that complexity. They want a push-button product, and a broom brush is a push-button product. Squeegee rubber is a push-button product. Squeegee channels are a push-button product. You push the button, half your money goes to that guy, half the money goes to the manufacturer, and that's your gig, right? That's how the money goes, right? That's how the system works. All right, good night. Oh, that's it. All right, so there you go. That's my rant and my rave. And all power to my really dear friend Lee. We had such an amazing time. It was really interesting going to meet this guy, Richard Fabry, the guy who was the co-founder of the American Window Cleaning magazine. He was really interesting at a number of levels, and Lee's filmed the Reach It story. Some of the backstory. Because it is it's a nice story. It's a family story. It's a father and son story. It's a from nothing to something story, because we started with so little money and so little resources, and I believe it's a success story because we've changed the way people clean windows, and we're doing it better, and it's beyond anecdotal. It's proven now that we have increased the speed across glass. We've pushed all our competitors to make poles that look like ours. We've pushed all our competitors to make tube that looks like ours. We've pushed all our competitors to make poles that are more poles that are carbon fiber, but they still sell the hybrids and the aluminiums, which I don't like. But I mean, that's just to get your money. So we created the XT, the 2-part reverse telescopic pole. We've pushed the industry forward, and then we've got more to go. So it's a we'd love to end up like the best story in window cleaning history. That would be fun. Okay, but we've got some challenges because the younger story and the Ederace to Cone story, I think, is actually the best story in the history of the company. That guy was he was a machine and spot on. He saw something. And the other one is the Tucker story, the real Tucker story. I think the original Tommy Tucker, what he saw was actually spot on. But he didn't have the technology to do it. And I look at what I'm doing. I think when people look at where we end up with the Reach It brush and the Reach It system, I think you'll be able to see the inspiration from Tommy Tucker completely, from way back 50, 60 years ago. what he saw and what he couldn't do. I could see what he could see, and I think I can do it, start to finish. Alrighty, good. I have my days, like I always warn people. I have my days. I can be a dick. If I have a bad day or somebody really, really is unethical in front of me or lies straight to my face, I am brutal, right? So, yeah, but other than that, I'm alright, I think. You know, but I've seen you change when you had that blow up. Like, you were brutal right then, right? So that's alright. I think if everybody forgave us, I always look at, when I talk to Harrison, right, because I like Harrison's mentor, and I'm always inspired by the diving at the Olympics, you know, and so there's 5 judges, and 5 of them give a score, and there's so much bias in the industry of diving judging that they remove the bottom score, remove the top score, and average the rest. And I think if we all treated each other like that and just go, you know, oh, you're having one of those days? Okay, let's delete that, right? Let's just pretend that didn't happen. Let's let that go through to the keeper, right? Or through to the catcher in American terms, right? And then you had this amazing day where you're all like manic, like amazing, you know, like over the top, fizzing and buzzing. Like, let's take that day out too, because those days don't come back every day, right? Those days just don't happen every day. So take those out and then average the dude in the middle, and that's probably the dude you got, yeah? So I was talking to Ollie the other day because I had a tumultuous moment, you know, with Phoebe, my wife, right? And Ollie got a bit troubled. I said, look, it's like, you know, remember when we drink champagne, Daddy undoes the wire, right? And then he fiddles the cork, and then what happens? And he goes, oh, it goes pop. Yeah, you've had some of those days. And so it goes pop, right? And then what happens? All this bubble and fizz goes everywhere. This right mess. I said, you know what we do after that, Ollie? I said, we drink the champagne, right? So what happened last night with Mum and Dad? Like, it was just, we just went pop, and there's bubbles and fizz everywhere. And then today, you know, we're a family, and we're all just going to drink the champagne together. It's like nothing happened. It's all fine. Oh, yeah, you better go, buddy. You better go to the birthday. See you, mate. I better sign off too. I'm going to go and have some breakfast. I'm staying in a beachfront resort, right in here, and it's about $60 a night, something. $60 a night with two breakfasts. I'm only eating one, of course, but 2 breakfasts included, and you get to enjoy this. So if none of you have been to Thailand, please do it. Take the chance, right, to experience it. It's really, really an amazing place. This is where I'm going to retire. I'm going to semi-retire here soon, and then, not semi-retire, but I'm actually going to run out of 2 locations because I really want to do the focus work here and then go back and do the intensive work in Ningbo. Getting to that stage. All right, so I'm going to see you guys. Love your style. As Carlos Gonzalez would say, wash on. We should say clean on, you know, go get them, chase your dreams, be you, and yeah, we look forward to communicating with you more.